Welcome to Niagara, the gathering place of thundering waters and the traditional territory of the Six Nations and the Haudenosaunee. Also the ancestral lands of the Erie, the Neutral, the Tobacco, the Wyandot, and the Huron nations. These lands the Haudenosaunee conquered in the Indian Wars and entered into friendship treaties to share with our brethren of other nations, as told in the Dish with One Spoon Treaty of 1764. It marked the beginning of the end to turmoil amongst our nations. The 1764 Treaty of Fort Niagara is significant as it reaffirmed the political foundation for the covenant chain relations between Great Britain and the Indigenous nations of the Great Lakes and northeastern woodlands. It was an important turning point in relationships between the Indigenous nations that participated, as it was a way of renewing their treaty relationship with each other and refreshing the pledges made with the ancient Dish with One Spoon Treaty, whereby the Indigenous nations agreed to share the bounty provided by Mother Earth. To mark the 250th anniversary of the signing of this treaty, there was a gathering of representatives of Indigenous nations which negotiated the Treaty of Peace with Sir William Johnson on behalf of Great Britain. This commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the Treaty of Niagara was held 2 years ago at Fort Niagara, just across the river outside of Lewiston, New York. A second gathering was held the following day across the river at Fort George, which is just down the road from here. It's at the site of the old Indian Council House that stood from 1797 to 1828. This is where the King's Fire had been transferred from Fort Niagara after the American Revolution. Prior to and during the War of 1812, many Treaty Council meetings were held there, some attended by several thousand people. This was also the piece where the annual presents from the Crown were distributed. On October 13, 1812, at the Battle of Queenston Heights, Six Nations and the Haudenosaunee and the Native Allies fought and died alongside British forces and Canadian militia in defense of life and land, upon which a new foundation was founded. To commemorate and honor the contributions and the sacrifices made by the warriors from Six Nations during the War of 1812, there will be a commemorative public artwork unveiled at Queenston Heights on October 2nd of this year. This artwork is called The Landscape of Nations and will also recognize the historic ceremony of peace and reconciliation that was held in Niagara in 1815. And I'm pleased to have our warriors of today, the Six Nations veterans, standing beside me and behind me, and also our traditional dancers. So given the historical significance of this area, it is fitting that we all gathered here today at the Thundering Waters to meet and to rekindle our cultural ties and our shared history. We're also meeting here today on a border that was placed between us and our brothers and sisters who live in what is now called the United States. Our brothers have the Seneca have a first-class casino just across the Rainbow Bridge, which you can see from this side of the falls, and I encourage you to visit. Many years ago, a group of our ancestors, one of which was my great-grandmother, came together and founded the Indian Defense League of America. They continue to fight for our right to freely cross the Canada-United States border, as was agreed to in the Jay Treaty. One event that they started many years ago and which we continue to honor up to this day is the annual celebration or border crossing. This event will be held next Saturday, and our people will march across the Rainbow Bridge from Canada into the United States. Last year, they marched from the United States into Canada, and arrangements are always made with the border services agencies to ensure that our people can cross that bridge freely and without question when we celebrate the annual border crossing on the third Saturday of July every year. We continue to do this and to honor our ancestors and the struggles for our rights, our right to cross that border freely. So if any of you are still here next Saturday, please join the march across the bridge. These are border crossing issues that continue to exist today, and we are continuing to work on it, and we need Canada to come on board and join us. We have already reached out to the United States, and they are willing to work with us and with Canada, so we need them at the table. I would also like to take this opportunity to say that this is the era of truth and reconciliation. We have many opportunities before us that we need to take advantage of. We need to get to work to ensure that the new federal government lives up to the many commitments that they have made, including the implementation of the 94 calls to action in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission final report, and the implementation of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. We must do this in a unified fashion, and we must ensure that each and every First Nation is involved in the steps going forward. Communication is key. Communication with our youth, communication with our people, communication with our elders, communication with our communities, and communication with each other as leaders. Communication with Canadians is also important. Now that the truth has been told, we must all ask ourselves, what are we all going to do to ensure that there is reconciliation? One thing that Canadians need to do, and we need to help them, is to take the time to become more educated and more aware of who we are as the First Peoples in this land. They need to learn more about our rich history and our culture, and remember that their ancestors would not have survived without our assistance. It is also our responsibility to assist them in this education. We all need to do this as a show of gratitude to the many residential school survivors who had the courage and the strength to come forward and tell their stories, some of which were pretty horrific, of their days in the residential schools. It is because of their strength and their courage that our issues are now getting the attention that they are. We need to do this for their sake. We cannot let these opportunities pass us by, and we must do it in a unified fashion. On Sunday, I had the opportunity to bring greetings to about 200 youth that are here from across the country who attended the Youth Summit. They are a dynamic group of young people who will be making presentations to the chiefs later on today. We, as the leaders today, must listen carefully to their recommendations, and we must commit to do everything we can to work with them in getting their recommendations implemented. We also need to remember that as the future leaders, they will be watching us for the next 3 days as we have serious discussions. So let's not let them down. We at Six Nations are thrilled to be the host First Nations for this gathering this year, and we have lined up many activities to showcase our community and to promote the many talented people from Six Nations. Outside on the lawn, you will see half of a replica of a longhouse, which is going to be featuring our singers, our dancers, and our storytellers, and there will also be a lacrosse demonstration. Six Nations is the hotbed of lacrosse, which is the creator's game and the fastest game on 2 feet. If anyone is interested, our Six Nations Chiefs Senior A team will be playing tomorrow night at the Iroquois Lacrosse Arena in our community, which is about an hour-and-a-half drive away. We have also arranged for 2 buses to take up to 75 people to our community tomorrow night to visit Six Nations and to learn more about our community, which is the largest populated First Nation in the country. We have 26,000 citizens and about 13,000 live in our community. On Wednesday, we will have a celebration of art as Six Nations All-Star Talent Showcase, featuring many accomplished individuals from Six Nations who have won many numerous awards, including a nomination for the Best Supporting Actor in Dances with Wolves. Graham Greene will be the MC. We have Juno Award winners, Aboriginal People's Choice Award winners. This is an event that we will be providing our traditional corn soup and ham and scone, and we invite all of you on behalf of our community to join us, as this is a free event. As a teaser for what kind of entertainment you can expect, we have some of our traditional dancers with us, the Sky Dancers they are called, and they are going to do a couple of quick smoke dances down here for you. And these young ladies, I call them young. These young ladies, their father was Jimmy Sky, who was an old dear friend of mine who had a dance troupe many years ago and traveled the country teaching people about the Haudenosaunee people. And I am so happy and so grateful that his daughters are carrying on this tradition. And I'm especially pleased that they are able to be here tonight to share part of our rich culture and our rich history with you. So I'm going to ask them to go down here and everybody can watch. Got to watch fast because it's a pretty fast dance. I'm going to ask Jamie Jacobs to come up and sing for them and just do a little bit of explanation on what kind of dance they're going to do.
Yahweh Shkano, Squaguego, Yahweh, Chief Ava Hill. My name is Jamie Jacobs. I am the singer for the Sky Dancers. Chief Ava Hill had stated in her opening address that this is a sacred place for the Haudenosaunee people. So just a stone throw away, there's a large precipice which brings in tourists and revenue to this area. But before it was a tourist attraction, it was an attraction of the spirit. The ancient Haudenosaunee people believed that at this great precipice there lived the beings which we call the thunder beings. So you often hear it when you walk down Lundy's Lane, you'll hear the Maid of the Mist. So this was popularized by a legend that was brought to the area. But before that, they believed that this was the place where they dwelt the thunder spirits. They brought the rain and the sound, the reverberation of their voices in the sky. So they invoke spirits with songs and dances. So these are our traditional songs that our ancestors have handed down for many generations to invoke some of these spirits. Today they call it the smoke dance. So the traditional version was a lot slower, but they sped it up. They sped up the tempo to see what kind of moves the dancers could bring forth. So that was some of just a taste. You'll see some more on Wednesday night in the showcase. So on behalf of the Sky Dancers, we'd like to thank you very much, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Yahweh.
I just want to acknowledge the male smoke dancer is Tony Johnson, and our female dancers are Sui Sky, Cecilia Sky, and Little Teeny. Thank you again, Yahweh. So enjoy yourself this week. Let's all work together on the many important issues that are facing us for the sake of our citizens, especially those young ones like Teeny who are dancing. Yahweh.